All right, welcome back to Hannity. So last night in this program, I told you how CBS News veteran Ted Koppel said I was, quote, bad for America. They only aired 70 seconds of what was like a 50-minute sit-down interview that was taped earlier this month. Well, this was not the first time that CBS has been called out for editing interviews. Now, back in September of 2012, after the Benghazi attack in Libya that killed 4 Americans, CBS sat down with President Obama the day after that attack. But when they first aired the interview, they didn't get into any details about Benghazi. Now, fast forward about a month during a debate with Mitt Romney, while President Obama was challenged on whether or not he had called the Benghazi attack a terror attack from the very beginning. The president said he did. Romney said he did not. 3 days later, CBS, they came to the rescue and they aired a previously unaired clip from their interview with the president where he said this. Watch.
You're right that this is not a situation that was exactly the same as what happened in Egypt. My suspicion is that there are folks involved in this who were looking to target Americans from the start.
It doesn't say it's a terror attack. It appears to back up the president's claim that he called it terrorism from day one, even though he really didn't. So why didn't CBS include that in their original reporting? Then, a few weeks later, right before the 2012 election, CBS quietly posted an extended clip of the Benghazi conversation on their website. Watch this.
Mr. President, this morning you went out of your way to avoid the use of the word terrorism in connection with the Libya attack.
Right.
Do you believe that this was a terrorist attack?
Well, it's too early to know exactly how this came about, what group was involved, but obviously it was an attack on Americans, and we are going to be working with the Libyan government to make sure that we bring these folks to justice, one way or the other.
This has been described as a mob action, but there are reports that they were very heavily armed with grenades.
As I
that
said,
doesn't sound like your normal demonstration.
Right. As I said, we're still investigating exactly what happened. I don't want to jump the gun on this.
So why did CBS wait so long to put that out when it was part of a debate a month earlier? Were they trying to cover for the president? This is why we continue to demand that CBS News release the full interview that I had with Ted Koppel. What do they have to hide? Anyway, we reached out to the network today, but shockingly have not heard back. Joining us with reaction, editor-in-chief of Life Zet, nationally syndicated radio host, Fox News contributor, big smile on her face, Laura Ingraham. We've dealt with this our whole lives. But in that particular case, they had the answer to a big question in a big debate. They wouldn't air it. Why?
Yeah, well, because it doesn't work with the CBS worldview. I mean, to play the entire, or at least a fairly edited, representative tape of your interview hurts the worldview of the left, which sadly, oftentimes CBS amplifies and airs, which is that, you do an aggressive show. You hold the left accountable. You hold conservatives accountable.
Republicans.
You've criticized.
Yep. Yeah, so do you.
Republicans. You've held George Bush accountable. You've talked about failures in communication and strategy in the current administration and the challenges that they face. And you're also a conservative. You're very candid that you're a conservative. The problem with CBS and so many other news organizations is that they will mask the fact that most of the people working for the network, most, not all, but most, are liberals. The way they choose stories, the way they produce stories, the way they choose not to cover certain stories is always going to be done through a more liberal perspective and a liberal lens. And you don't make any bones about the fact that you're a conservative. A totally different way to analyze the situation. But that doesn't, to make those more nuanced points, that kind of blurs what CBS really wants to do here. They want to delegitimize you. Ted Koppel, he's been up to this old trick, delegitimizing Fox. He's been up to this for years. He's been giving interviews about how bad journalism today is for years and years. This is nothing new. You're just the most recent victim of it.
It's just sad. The reason they're not going to release this, Laura, after the first question, I give a substantive answer. He goes, I'm not going to air that answer. I'm like, well, why am I sitting here? Do you want my real opinion or not? And all throughout the rest of the interview, I'm taunting him. Are you going to keep this in, Ted? Are you going to keep that in? You're going to edit that out, Ted?
Yeah.
And it's like, of course they don't want to air that part. So,
Sean, you know what you have to do next time? Next time, if you ever agree to do one of these interviews, you have to have your own crew
tape it.
They're videoing, and then you say, okay, let's just both video it, just for fun. And then if they don't, then you release the whole thing. That has to be your ground rule going in.
Right.
Isn't that sad?
My mistake.
But it does. The same thing with phone interviews with people. You have to say, look, may I permission to also tape this because I just can't trust you to do a representative fair piece. And I would also add that in 2015, Ted Koppel told Stephen Colbert that he does oftentimes more serious studies on serious subjects than other media figures. Again, bemoaning the fractured nature of media. Yeah, that's what he said.
I'm not holding my breath.